Today's game is Cardiff City under-19s women versus Carmarthen Town under-19s women. Well, today's trip has definitely been a challenge. Originally, it should have been part of a full weekend trip starting today and ending on Monday, but things haven't gone the way I hoped. The storm in Scotland has put paid to tonight's original fixture, which should have been Hearts reserves at home to East Kilbride. I had planned to go up to Edinburgh today and stay over and then go on to Matlock on Saturday and then straight after that on to London for Sunday's game. But with that reserve game being off, my next option was to look at whether the Hearts women's game would be on. But as you can see, this is also off. These were both called off last night before I even started looking at today, packing wise or getting ready. I was already faced with the issue that they were off. So if I quickly explain what my mad plan was after going to Matlock tomorrow, I was going to go to Exeter on Sunday and Fulham, but I can't get from Wrexham to Exeter for the 12 o'clock kickoff. It's Sale women are playing there in the rugby against Exeter. I can't get there before 12 o'clock from Wrexham, so I couldn't come back to Wrexham from Matlock because I wouldn't be able to get to Exeter in time for kickoff. Now Sunday I'm having to go to Exeter anyway, so I'm having to go to London anyway, so what I thought was I'd go on the Saturday night from Matlock over to London, stay there. I'll have already had a bag with me because I was coming down from Edinburgh, and I would stay in London on Saturday night. I can get from London to Exeter, and then I can get back in time for the Fulham United game on the Sunday, which is a 7 o'clock kickoff. So I was going to do the two games and have 2 nights in London on the Saturday and the Sunday, so I wouldn't have to take any bags to any games because my bag would be in the hostel in London. So I thought, okay, that's fine, I'll be able to do that. But now the game is off in Edinburgh, or both games are off in Edinburgh. I had to rethink it. So when I looked last night, it looked like Connah's Quay under-19s women would play Wrexham under-19s women. And that was a 3G pitch, and the weather seems not too bad here. So I think, okay, that's fine. So I decided the next thing to do is to try and get some money back on my trains and my hostel to Edinburgh and to Matlock. So with the game at Connah's Quay in mind, I began to cancel my trains and my hostels, which I got all the money back for to get to Edinburgh, and I got the hostel money back as well. The only thing I failed on was the money between Matlock and between Edinburgh and Matlock. I only got half that money back, so I'm still £26 down. But I might get that back if that train runs late on Saturday afternoon, so I'll have to watch out for that and get a delay repay on that one, hopefully. But my plan was then to go to that Connah's Quay game and then go to Matlock from Wrexham on the Saturday. So I also booked a train to Matlock from Wrexham and then carry on to London after that, as per the plan. But best laid plans and all of that didn't really work out. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I noticed that the Wrexham under-19s game had been called off. So that left me with only a few choices with limited time. Now, my main choice once I realised that both the games up in Scotland had been called off, was the Charlton under-21s versus Cardiff under-21s game. But there was a few issues with this game. First of all, that it was played in the afternoon, and in the morning Wrexham had some tickets on sale at 10 o'clock. So with having no loyalty system, you have to be on the ball with those tickets. So didn't really want to be on the train while those tickets were on sale and miss out on those tickets because I didn't have a good signal. So I decided against it on that main reason, but also it was at a training ground, and by the time I'd have got a reply, I'd have been struggling to get there for, I think it was a 1 o'clock kickoff. As you can see, Cardiff got pretty smashed in that game. So I wasn't too sure they could get in or not as being at a training ground. So those two reasons I gave it a miss, and that's why I was going to go to the Connors Quay Wrexham under-19s. Now, as you can see, I pick games through a sequence of teams, and then other than that I do ground hopping for grounds I haven't been to, and I have a list and a sequence of teams that I'll go through, and at the end of this video I will add that. And if you want something to go to sleep to, then that might be the most boring thing you'll hear, but some people might find that interesting, so we'll add that to the end of this video. So playing by the rules of my list of teams, the next team that was available and playing was Cardiff City Women under-19s. So I decided that that was the game I would go to. I looked, I still had time to get there, and I could get back as far as Shrewsbury, which means I wouldn't have to change my Matlock ticket again. I wouldn't have to try and go from stay in Cardiff and go from Cardiff to Matlock. I could go back to Wrexham tonight, get a taxi from Shrewsbury and go back to Wrexham tonight, and then start again tomorrow like planned. So that is how I came up with going to tonight's game. I added some games to my games been to list while I was on the train. I'm now almost halfway through those 38 years worth of going to games, writing them out from the bits of scrap paper I've got, and digitising them onto a digital list, which I will then put onto Footballogy in its full when I've done it. So that process is almost halfway through, so I'm really pleased with that. With a late arrival in Cardiff and not a great deal to plan the trip, I just took an Uber up to the ground, and it was only £6, so that was quite good, to be fair. I wouldn't have got a bus much cheaper if I'd have been able to get one out there anyway. There is a sports centre at the ground, and I got there about 15 minutes before kick-off, so I had a quick cup of tea and I did some video editing. Back to the station, costing me £6. So that's it for this trip, £67 in the end. Unfortunately, quite a expensive taxi home from Shrewsbury in the end, which didn't help. But what did help is I got a refund on the Wrexham to Shrewsbury part of my journey, and I also got some money off eBay for the stuff I've been selling, so that reduced it down to 67. So considering how late we went, no choice in train tickets or what have you, and having to get a couple of taxis, it's not a bad result, to be honest. So as I said, I'd end this video with my list of teams and the sequence I watch games in. As you can see, I have put it here It's quite a long list. Some of the teams right at the bottom. I just mainly watch on telly, to be honest, because obviously they're quite a long way away. But I would still count them as teams I like. I wouldn't say they're all teams I support. Some are teams that I have an affiliation to. I'll go through them individually as we go on. But here is a good look at the list for you, as you can see there, and the sequence that I would go, and this is the sequence I would look at going to games in, and the teams that I would watch. So to try and explain each side now that I support or follow or have an interest in, the first one on the top of the list would be Wales, always my first choice to go to. You might wonder why this over Wrexham. Basically, I have swapped and changed over the years, but Wales would be my number one at the moment, basically because Wrexham don't offer any sort of loyalty system, and they're not offering me loyalty, so why should I offer them loyalty? And with Wales you get the loyalty system, so I feel that loyalty should go that way. So my second choice is always Wrexham. Obviously the reason why I support these is this is the first time I saw them play, and the reason I fell in love with football. Manchester United are the next on my list. The reason why I support these is, first, when I became interested in football back when I was about 3 or 4, and I would go around to my nan and granddad's, and my granddad would tape Match of the Day from the previous Saturday evening and watch it the next day rather than watch it late at night, and I'd sit there and watch it with him, and I always just liked the red kit, red, white and black kits, and that furthered when at the time in the 80s Liverpool were a very successful side, and everybody at school supported Liverpool, and I just wanted to be different. I've never been a person who's wanted to be the same. I've always wanted to be different. Funny enough, it's got nothing to do with my surname really. That has no bearing on my support of Manchester United. And I probably would have supported them as my first team had I not gone to watch Wrexham first. But within a couple of weeks of watching Wrexham, all I wanted to do was then go to watch United. So I did go and watch them a couple of weeks later after watching Wrexham for the first time, and the love has gone from there. So the next club on my list is FC United. This is a club came into being through the dissolution of Manchester United fans, through the purchasing of Manchester United for Malcolm Glazier and the Glazier family. Now, I was much against this when it happened, but I could never really pull myself away from stopping to watch Manchester United and just watch FC United, though I have always gone to watch them along the way. I do believe that the club has gone in a direction I didn't foresee and don't really support in the majority of the way, but I still have made a lot of friends over the years, and I like to go and watch them play, and I like to see them do well, but they certainly didn't go in the way that I hoped they would, and I feel justified for not pulling away from Manchester United to watch them. The next club in line is Hearts. I started to watch these after basically chatting at lunchtime in school. When I was a teenager, somebody brought in a newspaper with all the tables in it, and all the lads were picking a Scottish team, most people picked Celtic or Rangers, and again, I just wanted to be different, so I chose Hearts, and I began to follow their results for a couple of years. And then when I left school, I actually went to see them play, and I loved the stadium. I loved the way they play football. I just liked everything about them. And then I joined Manchester Hearts Supporters Club, which I've found some great friends there, and I've watched them ever since. They are a club which suit me really well. The next club up is Wigan Warriors Rugby League. I watched a Challenge Cup final when I was probably about 10 or 11, and watched Wigan play in that, and I found the sport to be amazing and fascinating, and from that, because I played in red and white, I wanted to support them as well, and they played some fantastic rugby back then in the early 90s, so that was great. And when I left school, I went to watch them. Actually, I did go and watch them once just before I left school to go and do the old ground before it was demolished. The year I left, the year I was about to leave school, so I wanted to do that. So I went to watch them there, and that was fantastic. And when I finished school, I got a season ticket and went to that, because it's a great thing to do in the summer when there is, or was in those days, a lot less football. Not so much now, but all the same, it's a great thing to watch during the summer. So next on my list is Buckley Town. Basically, the reason I support these is because as a youth player, this is the team I played for, and obviously I've ever had an affiliation with them ever since. The next team we're going to talk about is Wales Rugby League. Unfortunately, they play so few games, I hardly ever get to see these play, but obviously I like Rugby League and I'm Welsh, so I support them. Next on the list is Elgin City. Now, the reason I like these is because someone suggested to me when I started to try and do through these Scottish leagues that it's a good idea to try and have a team to support, to go around and watch whilst you're doing the lower leagues in Scotland. And I noticed when I was getting involved in ground hopping that a lot of my friends had a lower league Scottish team. This is around about 2000 when Elgin got promoted to from the Highland Leagues to the Scottish Leagues, so I decided they would be my team, my lower league Scottish team, and I went up to watch them. And Borough Briggs is a fantastic ground, and they are a good little club, so I was really pleased with what I got out of it, really, and I've supported them ever since. So the next team on the list is Shamrock Rovers. I support these basically for the same reason as Elgin. Really, I wanted a team to support whilst going through doing all the Irish League grounds. And the first time I went to see a game in Ireland was to go and see the old Intertoto Cup, which was the European Summer Cup that they used to have. And I went to see one of those games, and Shamrock Rovers were the home team, although at the time they hadn't got a ground, and they were going around playing at different venues and that, so that was quite good, because every time you went to see them, they were playing at a different ground. So yeah, that's how I got involved with watching Shamrock, and I really like the place where they play now, Tala, and they have plenty of success as well, so that's nice. And we've had a few European trips along the way with them as well, so that's been good, and yeah, that's the reason I support Shamrock. Okay, the next team on my list is Oldham. We move here from teams that I support to teams I more have an affiliation to, really. My affiliation with Oldham started way back, really, when I was supporting United to get tickets for quite a few for the semi-final in 1990 against Oldham. I got them through a steward who was an Oldham steward, and I was actually in the Oldham end for that game in 1990, and again I did that for the 1994 semi-final, FA Cup semi-final as well, and that's how I started getting the affiliation with Oldham, and then that moved quite stronger when as a lad I did postal fantasy football and you were given a team, and I was given Oldham. So during the 90s and all, I followed their results and knew all their players and played the fantasy football being at Oldham. So I've always followed their results, and I do occasionally like to go and watch them play. And I also met quite a few Oldham fans through the many years of watching Wrexham in the Isle of Man. So I made some good friends through that, and later on in life I've met some people who are groundhoppers as well, who are Oldham fans, who I've made good friends with as well. So they are a club that I like, and I've got a lot of friends that are connected with the club as well. So I do like to go and watch them occasionally, and I always look out for their results. The next club I have an affiliation to is Cardiff City. The reason for this, I know it seems rather strange with being a Wrexham fan, and I would definitely never say I support them, but I do follow their results and have an affiliation to them, basically because I've made many friends over the years watching Wales who are Cardiff fans, and I do like to see them do well. I do think that they have many of the qualities supporter-wise that Wrexham do, so I feel an affiliation towards them that way, and I wish them well, really, as they go along. The next club we're going to talk about is Brighton. Now, the reason I support those is because of the simple fact is that they help Wrexham out a lot where Wrexham are having a lot of troubles financially, and it was those supporters who came in and virtually saved the club. So I will always be grateful for Brighton and what they did, and I always think it's worth trying to go and support them whenever I can. So another sport I like is rugby union, and obviously that means I support Wales Rugby Union. So the next team is Scarlets Rugby Union. The reason I support these is because they played a few times at Wrexham's at home venue. Unfortunately, it didn't last for very long, but they also play at Red, which I like. So that is a good reason to support them. I do get to see them occasionally, but Llanelli is a hard place to get to, so not as often as I'd like. Maybe if they played more games with Wrexham, that would be ideal. So Aston Villa, this might seem a bit of a strange one. Years ago they used to do a £5 deal for European games, and it was a great deal. So when you're in the group stages, you got every ticket for a fiver. So I started going to the European games. Villa Park is one of my favourite grounds, so I started going to those, and I've always watched out for their results ever since, and I do occasionally go to see them play. I quite like their under-21s at Bodymore Heath there as well. That is a great little venue, and it's always a friendly little place to go to, which is quite refreshing for the sort of training ground standards. It's always normally really strict and everything, and they're really quite friendly there, so I quite like that as well. Sale Sharks, well, as I say, I like rugby union, and this is really the only team up north locally where I can watch it at a high level. I also used to work in Stockport, where they used to play right by the ground there, so on a Friday night it was a really easy one for me to do, and they used to do astonishingly cheap disabled season tickets for like £30, which was ridiculously great. So I used to go there all the time. I don't go as much now, they've moved out to the AJ Bell. It is a terrible place to get to at the best of times, so that puts me off a lot, but I do occasionally still go and watch them, and I definitely look out for their results. I love their reserve venue, Haywood Road, which is their original ground. Been there a couple of times to see the women's side and the B team there, and that's a great place to go if you ever get a chance. Now, I don't know whether you would count this as a different or separate side. This is Llanelli Rugby Club, obviously the original Scarlets. Now they are basically Scarlets reserves, even play at the same ground, but I would count it as the same team. But if you don't, then I also support those if you class that as a separate entity. The same thing goes for Sale FC. They are kind of like a subsidiary of Sale Sharks. I wouldn't say they were a reserve side because they don't really connect, maybe an academy at very best, but they play at the Haywood Road as well. So I class them as part of the whole entity, so I would support them as well. I wouldn't count it as a different club, but somebody might do, so I thought I'd give them a mention. We come to the final team that I really would watch in person, and that is Queen's Park, Wrexham. That is because it is the closest ground to my house, so I always look out for their results, and if I ever get a chance to watch them play, I always will. Moving into the realms of cricket now, and I support Glamorgan. They used to play up at Colwyn Bay, so I count them as my local team. Unfortunately, they don't seem to play there anymore, but I still go down quite regularly in the summer to Cardiff to watch them play. And I love the seconds playing at different grounds. That's great as well, and it's a good way to get around watching cricket, doing cricket grounds as well. And it's another one to slip in the summer when there is less football. International cricket wise, I hate the fact that the England and Wales Cricket Board always gets shortened to England, so I refuse to support them. So I support Ireland, and I've gone to see them a couple of times, and it's great that they're a test side now, so I've been able to see some test matches as well. It's great to be able to watch some international cricket, and some of the venues that they have in Ireland are fantastic as well. You do get some international cricket in Wales, if you can call it that. It's the minor counties side, which is played under the guise of Wales. I have watched them a couple of times, but they haven't played at very good venues recently. They've been playing out at Bangor, a very difficult venue to get to. They did play a couple of times, get away at Shropshire, which I've seen them play at, but I'd love to see more of them if I could. Other sports I follow are baseball, and I have seen San Diego play 3 or 4 times now. That's all started off with being an odd sort of thing that happened for me, that when I first went to see Wales play in America, they were playing away at the Mets in New York, so I went to watch the game there, and then by some miracle, the next time I went there, Wales played in LA, and who should be away in LA? It was San Diego, so that was mad. And then I also saw them in a home game as well, because San Diego's not all that far from LA. I got the train down there, was in LA for just about a week and a half, so I managed to catch one day of them at home as well. And then lo and behold, the next time I go to San Diego, which is to watch, next time I go to America was San Diego to watch Wrexham play Man United in San Diego, and also at home at the same time was San Diego, so that was fantastic. So they're definitely my team. Talking about teams I've seen abroad and I've got a connection with, this would be Melbourne Victory. About 25 years or so ago now, I went to Melbourne. This is even before the A-League was a thing, and I seen them play a pre-season friendly at their old ground, and I've always looked out for their results ever since. And one of my favourite Wrexham loan signings went on to play for them, Danny Allsop, as well. So I followed his career when he went there as well, so that's really good. What I also like to do is watch teams from the local area, North East Wales, in the Welsh Premier, and I have watched a few teams over the years. At the moment it is Flint and Connors-Key who are up there, but I've also watched Brill and Kevin Druids while they've been up in the top league. Something I've started doing more recently is trying to get some of the Northern Ireland grounds doing, and I've tried to pick a team there to do it with. As I've said with other things, it's easier to do the grounds when you've got something on the game. So I started following Cliftonville, who Wrexham played quite a few times, and I've chosen those as my team. They play in red as well, so that's good for me as I like red. So that's the team I picked for there, and occasionally get to see them play. Another sport which I enjoy is ice hockey. I'd probably support Manchester and Cardiff as my main teams, just because they are local, and I like Cardiff because they are obviously Welsh, and they're also bigger than 2 teams who play some of the European matches as well. They're great atmospheres to go to. Unfortunately, it's just a TV. As you can see, it would be Frankfurt and Kazan and Dew Gardens. I like Dew Gardens because the football team played Wrexham, so that's my link with that one. Kazan, I just like I like the badge actually, and somewhere I've always wanted to go as well. So hopefully one day I'll get to go and see those two play. And the other one is Frankfurt. I've been there many times, but I haven't had a chance to see them play. Talking about TV teams, then I also like to watch out for results for Roma and for Sampdoria. Back in the day when they used to have Italia 90 on Channel 4, they were always my favourite two teams, and I still look out for their results now. I have been to Roma's ground a couple of times, and I also went over to see their women's team play at a different ground as well. That was really good. But I've never seen Sampdoria play, and I love their ground. It looks like a marvellous ground, so hopefully one day I can get to see them play as well. Another team I'd like to give mention to is Welsh Fire. This is the 100 cricket team. They're not really connected to Glamorgan apart from playing at Glamorgan's ground, but I do kind of count them as the same team as Glamorgan. That's why I don't mention them in my list. I should also give Warwickshire Cricket a mention, as it's mostly the women's team. I watch as Glamorgan don't have a women's team, but I have watched the men's team a couple of times as well. After watching the women's team, I got into watching them a little bit. So they're another nice club, and it's a wonderful ground there that they've got at Edgbaston as well, so it's a good place to go. And one last team to mention is Colwyn Bay, who I don't really watch anymore. I watched them when they were playing in the English leagues, but since they go over into the Welsh leagues, I don't really see they're any different from any of the other local teams that I support. So unfortunately I have stopped watching them. I thought they should have stayed in the English leagues, and I didn't really agree with their decision to change over. And I'm really glad to have seen that Merthyr Tydfil, who are the other team in the English non-league there, have actually gone over to have actually decided to stay in English leagues. And when we're talking about those clubs like that in the Welsh leagues, the other thing I'd like to mention is that the other two local clubs in North Wales that are in the Welsh Premier League, TNS and Airbus. The reason why I won't follow those is Airbus are a factory-based team, so I don't really feel that you can support a factory-based team. And also the other one being TNS, I don't like the way they took over Oswestry Town and all that, so I don't agree with the way they go about things, so I don't support those. So around all that, I like to do some ground hopping. That's mainly football, but any sport in a sporting arena really, and different sort of sports around that as well. As I'll mention in a moment, a bit more detail, but at the minute, just talking about the ground hopping yet. So I like to try and get in and around following those teams. I like to try and get some other grounds in as well. I always enjoy doing that. It's a great experience and a good way of travelling about. So as I say, the last thing to mention is new sports. So as well as doing other sports and other sporting arenas, I like to do different sports I haven't been to before as well. And I am currently looking to try and do as many sports as I possibly can. The next one I have on the list is hockey, field hockey. I always look out for Cardiff field hockey team results, as they are the local Welsh team, so I would like to see I would love to see them play. That would be great.